Hello, I'm Ivan Simhongyang. I am currently majoring in AI. Later, I will present the impact of COVID-19 on catering industry.
Hello, madam. I'm Boon Kyang, and I'm from the Artificial Intelligence from the FIST. I'll be presenting the part of the impact to transportations in Malaysia.
Hello everyone, my name is Ho Mei Ling. I am majoring in AI and I will present the conclusion.
My name is Zhong Jijie. My major is Computer Science AI. I will present the impacts of COVID-19 to tourism or hotel industry in the presentation later.
I'm Estelle Khoo. I'm majoring in Artificial Intelligence. I'm responsible in the introduction part in this report.
Service sector is a tertiary sector of economy. It produces intangible goods. Service sector plays the biggest role in the global economy currently. In 2019, service sector contributed about 51% to the global total employment and 64% of total global GDP. In Malaysia, it contributed about 62.72% of total country employment and 57.7% of total country GDP. Due to the arrival of COVID-19, Malaysia started to lock down on 18 March 2020. Malaysia economy affected. Total GDP decreased for about 5.6%. Service sector GDP decreased for about 5.5%. By April 2020, about half of the world's population was under some form of lockdown. Global economy affected. Total GDP decreased for about 3.3% in 2020, and global service sector GDP decreased for about 2.7%. Among service sector segments, the food and beverages and accommodation segments have faced the largest drop, and the information and communication segment has the largest increment. The ICT segment played an important role in supporting Malaysians' daily need and providing a lifeline for the enterprises during pandemic. The government implementation and strategies like MySejahtera, MyUbat, Ilati had provided a continuity of close to a normal life for the people during the pandemic. Yet, these strategies not only benefit the country and people directly, but also have a multiplier effect. As example, it could improve productivity, increase investment, provide greater convenience, and lower the cost of living.
Now I will start to present the impacts of COVID-19 to tourism or hotel industry. There are some impacts to tourism or hotel industry. Firstly is hotel bookings, second is hotel employees, and the last one is travel agency. Firstly, hotel bookings. The bookings of hotel rooms were cancelled when the tourist towers were cancelled. It creates massive impacts to the hotel industry. According to the Malaysian Association of Hotel in 2020, hotel bookings have been cancelled between 7 to 80%. Here is the table of severity of hotel room cancellation in 2020. The total of room cancellations is 170,085, which makes the hotel industry in Malaysia lose 68,190,364 ringgit Malaysia in 2020. Secondly, hotel employees. The cancellations of hotel bookings makes the hotel finance lose a lot of revenue. It makes the hotel need to reduce expenditure for hotel service, employees, maintenance, and so on. Hence, it leads the hotel management need to reduce employee pay or put staff on unpaid leave for an unforeseen length of time. Here we can see a table for hotel employees in 2020 during COVID-19 pandemic. According to the table, the total hotel workers in Malaysia during 2020 was 54,299. 2,041 from them were being paid off, 5,054 from them were facing pay cut, and 9,773 from them were facing unpaid leave. Lastly, the travel agency. The travel agency need to cancel their trips to foreign countries and domestic trips due to country restriction. They also need to refund the payment of their customers. Tourism-related business are also affected by COVID-19 as well. Their sales declines make their profit also decline, such as souvenir shops, handcraft shops, and so on.
Impact of COVID-19 on transportations. Impact of railway transport system. From the figure, you know that the readerships has reduced by 67% in year 2020 compared to year 2019 for the various rail transport system in Klang Valley area. It also shows that the Kelana Jaya LRT has a 60% reductions, intercity trains have 55% reductions, and the KTM commuter trains have a 53% reductions. These situations happen because of the Movement on Control Order MCO who set by the government. Impact of air transport system. The air transport system is the most hit industry in Malaysia, according to the published annual report by Minimum Alliance for Humanity and Biosphere. The passenger traffic has reduced by 98% of the international flight comparing to April 2019 and April 2020. In the annual reports, we can also note that there is a reduction of 45% in KLIA airports and the most significant reductions of 99.7% in KLIA 2 airports. This is because that due to the MCO and the airlines are required to follow the COVID-19 standard operating procedure SOP in handling the passenger, so that the log ratios of the aircraft need to be reduced to ensure the sufficient space and the distance among the passenger. And also the reductions of the aircraft capacity could indirectly increase the travel costs as the airline would need to sustain its operation. Impact of freight transport system. The freight transport system is the less impacted by the pandemic. It was because that people are encouraged to stay at homes, and so that they use the online websites and mobile apps to buy their necessity. And these actions had increased the e-commerce with 32.7% in year 2020 as compared to year 2019, with a total income of 896.4 billion. In terms of the imports and export activity, it was found that there is a significant drop in air cargo transport with 51.5 reductions in the year 2020, while the maritime freight has an increase of 0.96% as compared to year 2019. This shows that the maritime transport is more favorable compared to air transport, as the service charge is cheaper and the air transport than the air transport system, despite the longer waiting time required. Impacts on traffic and mobility. Due to the average daily traffic, there is a research in Kuala Lumpur and Selangor area that the traffic has gone down 70% last year compared to the year 2019 and the year 2020. Reporter TomTom has reported that there was 126 days of low traffic in Kuala Lumpur city centres, and the congestion level has reduced by 24% compared to year 2019, which was a lockdown before. And besides that, the people mobility pattern has changed as well, especially the working travel pattern. In figure, we could see that before the implementations of the MCO, the traffic for January to March are about the same in both years. However, the traffic will reduce suddenly from April 2020 to June 2020 before it goes back to normal again in July 2020.
Here, I am going to present about the impacts of COVID-19 on the catering industry. The first impact is that many of the restaurants or food processing manufacturers closed temporarily or permanently. The first reason is COVID-19 lockdown. It restricted people from going out to visit restaurants and make expenses. The second reason is that the policy enforced by the government to stop people to work temporarily reduced the productivity of the businesses. The third one will be costs. Even though MCO is enforced, restaurants or factories still need to pay for their rental, utilities, salary, and other money expenses. This causes the business daily operations got into a vicious cycle, which the business owners cannot generate profits and then cannot pay for their utilities and workers. The second impact is the adoption of various business models and the digitalization of the businesses. Modern business models like food delivery service, reservation only, and wholesale food supply start to be adopted by many restaurants. The reason is that these models can reduce the operational costs. Also, more and more restaurants started to use internet as their advertising platform. They use social media like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to attract the customers. The reason is that internet keeps gaining users because it connected the people all around the world, regardless of countries, races, and ages. Last but not least, supply and demand in different products change. People are encouraged to cook themselves because of MCO. This increased the demand in food ingredients. Also, the demand in food in packages or in cool condition is also surging because it is much simpler to prepare. However, the workers like farmers and the production line workers cannot work and cannot produce the goods and food. Thus, this condition disrupts the supply chain and increases the price of products tremendously. So that's all for my part.
In conclusion, This report provides an overview of consequences of COVID-19 to service sector, which basically focusing on each subsectors including tourism or hotel, transportation, as well as catering. The report has mostly concentrated on problems relating to how COVID-19 will affect the service sector, but we also acknowledge that the effects of COVID-19 on other industries are also important to be studied. Due to the current economic scenario, service sector is one of the most directly affected sectors, and as a result, needs immediate and long-term recovery action. To create a lasting and inclusive recovery, we should try our best to provide assistance to the severely affected sectors. Despite the fact that COVID-19 poses challenges to people's lives, we should never lose hope and should work to overcome the obstacles together.
Question 1. Why do we choose this topic? This is because we are interested in the impact of COVID-19 on the service sectors in our country, and we believe that the COVID-19 has brought a tremendous impact on the service sectors, and we want to know what's the impact it has brought to our life and how's the situation look like.
This project gave us a deep understanding of the impacts of COVID-19 on service sector. When collecting the data for the research, we were able to compare the development of the service sector before and after the COVID-19 pandemic. This will help us to analyze what measures can be taken to help the affected group. We also learned that even when we face challenges in life, we have to work hard to create opportunities. If we face each obstacle with optimism, many problems can definitely be solved.
Question 3. Did you discover something that you would like to research more about? In future, our team would like to do some research about issues related to impacts of COVID-19 on primary and secondary sectors, which are not included in the scope of these present findings. Further analysis in these sectors should be done because all the data is being updated day by day, and trends in people's life are changing all the time. By understanding the development of a country, we will be able to take the best steps in making our motherland progress.
Question 4. When the tourism sector in Malaysia can recover from the COVID-19 pandemic? Despite reports that Malaysia's tourism industry is on demand in 2022, the industry still lacks positive data to support a recovery as it transitions into the endemic phase and the country's borders reopen. Singapore and a lot of Euro countries had reopened their country borders, but China still restricted its people travel to foreign countries. China is a major contributor to Malaysia's tourism arrival, hence it leads to the tourism industry still not performing well in 2022. Besides this reason, Malaysian Association of Tour and Travel Agents Vice President Inbound and Domestic Ganesh Rama said, the Russia-Ukraine war will influence global tourism to some extent because it has contributed to increased inflation in some regions of the world, particularly in Europe. This will also affect the disposable income of the general public, and it will directly contribute to their travel preference. Therefore, he thinks that it is also still early to speculate that the tourist number to Malaysia are recovering since the opening of the borders.
Questions 5. What do you think about the future of service sector in Malaysia? Since the COVID-19 pandemic is still going on, it is too difficult to predict what might happen to the service sector or even the economy. As people can tell, the service sector activities in each country are impacted tremendously by the COVID-19 pandemic. As COVID-19 keeps hanging around, it is hard to expect the service sector activities to be as before the pandemic. A more pessimistic fact is the ever-changing situation. The virus might evolve into a more threatening species, which might be more harmful and spreadable among people. In short, service recovery will not happen anytime soon, unless people can eliminate the virus or at least make it harmless. Instead, a new model of the service sector under the growth of the information and communication technologies (ICT) segment during the pandemic might be one of the possible choices.